Hey up! So, in this video I'm going to be talking about green stuff. Green stuff is a two-part sculpting product that is really good for making certain little added details to some minis that you may need to jazz up a little bit. In this one I've taken a Space Wolf and thought, well, he just needs a little bit extra, so he's got himself a bit of a fur pelt and a fur scarf hood lining, which when painted up looks like this. It's not the best, but you can see what it is, you can tell what it's meant to be, and yeah, there you go. Another good thing what I like to do for is hair and beard. Believe it or not, this guy was bald and beardless. Along with that, I made this bit of a tattered cape from my old nomad type Space Wolf guy. In this video I'm going to be adding hair and a beard to this chap. And I'm wanting to do a flag for this lad here out of green stuff. So, tools. There's lots of sculpting tools you can buy. Different shapes, sizes. You don't really need them, you'll find what you need for yourself. For me, sharp craft knife, which I've already got for cutting bits off, and then Old Faithful, which is a bit of metal. I'm not sure, I can't even tell you what it's from. I just got it and it works. And if it works, it works. Simple as. It's not it didn't cost me a fortune, it is literally a bit of metal. So what you're going to be doing straight away is get your knife and cut yourself a chunk off. Put the rest to one side. And then literally you just unwrap and mix the two parts together. I would recommend that you use slightly less blue, just because for the things that I will be making, less blue makes it a little bit more manoeuvrable, a little bit more forgiving when you want to use it. So just keep a good mix until it is literally a nice solid green colour all the way through. And like magic. Now you've got your green stuff in one piece. Keep some water at hand because it is better to work with wet fingers and wet instruments and wet tools, just because the wetter it is, the better it is to move. So for this one, as I said, I was going to do hair and a beard, so I don't need all that I've got there. Literally break yourself a bit off, offer it up to see how much you may need. That's perhaps a bit too much there, so again, it's not stuck straight away, so you can just take a bit off if you need to. And then you get going with your tool. And for hair, I find you just dig it in slightly and just pull away in the direction that you want the hair to flow. And you'll be thinking, oh, this ain't working. And it is frustrating at the start, because you do think, I'm not getting anywhere with this. But trust the process, keep on with it, and it does work. Again, it's a case of finding what works for you tool wise. Like I said, I've got myself this little, I suppose like a paper clip that's a bit stiffer. Again, I couldn't tell you where it came from, but for me it just works nice, because it's a good size to hold and sculpt with. What you will have noticed with this model, I did already do the fur hood backing bit and the pelt. I did this previous purely because if I was to try and do the hair now while I had the fur lining underneath and it was still soft, it just wouldn't work. And as you may just about make out the lighting, the hair that I'm using is actually a slightly lighter green, and that is because I'm using less blue. And as I said, I learned that it's better to use it slightly less, just for the ease of movement. But as you can see, it's slowly coming together. Just chip away at it, pull it into the direction you want. In hindsight, with this guy, I should have possibly cut off the hair that was already there, but opted just to keep it there. And then I was going to add a little bit more to the front, just to bit of volume for his hair. It all tugs away, and as you can see, it's taking shape, and you can see that it's about there. It's just a case of fine tuning, give it a look from different angles, and just see, does it look like hair? Yes, job done. So just, yeah, a little bit more. I do actually go in with a little bit too much here, so I'll roll it into a bit of a sausage, and offer it up to your model. Was that a bit too much? If you put it into this little bit of a U shape, slightly, and basically bend it round the chin of your model, get your little tool, and if you know what a beard looks like, then this is exactly the same. You're going to be pushing it in, get it round to the sideburns or whatever style you're doing, but push it onto the face, and then again, stab and drag is essentially the motion you are doing. Pull it down into wherever you want. I'm a big fan of big old beards and long hair. Around the mouth, you basically want to be digging in until you get to the mouth, and as you do that, it will automatically push the green stuff in a sort of moustache style already without you really needing to do much in the way of actually sculpting it. You can just basically poke through until you find the mouth, and then it does itself basically. But again, just stab and drag, and that is basically how you achieve the bearded look, shall we say. And again, it's all about trusting the process. Worst case scenario, you pull it off and start again. Just tuck it into the sideburns, clean, just tied up around the neck. And you can see, stab through where the mouth is, and it automatically brings up the raised area where the moustache would be. I do try and keep my little tool wet at times, but because it is a metal, it doesn't really stick like it would to a wooden toothpick. So a wooden toothpick is something else you can use, but again, I would recommend wetting that down a lot. This is the point where I decided, well, the hair I'm not happy with. So again, a little bit more, stick it on, push it into place, and then back in with it, just flatten it down to where you want it, and give it a little bit of texture. And then, as if like magic, you've taken that crazy spiked fringe bald head, space wolf head, and now it is definitely a son of Odin. Yeah. Another good thing to do is to keep your little work area, if you're going to do this, just wet it down slightly, not wet, just damp, and then just take something like, for example, improvised here. It is an e-cig, but it is round, so you can use this as essentially a rolling pin. Anything will do, whether it's round, a paint pot, or maybe even you can buy yourself an actual green stuff rolling pin. But again, this is just a case of roll it out to the desired thickness that I was wanting, and ideally the size that I was wanting. To be fair, I think I did drop on quite lucky here with the sizing. It was all by eye and guesswork. But because I'd wet down the mat, it did come up quite easy. Well, don't worry about the bit of paint that came off with it, because it's all going to get primed and repainted. But just get a little stretch. Get my little flag bearer here. and then just for this, literally just wrapped it around the pole, which, as doing so, it did give it a bit of a natural fabric-like creases. A little pinch just to tie it up around the pole. Obviously this will set, it will dry, and it will hold in place. It is very thin, so it is a little bit delicate. There may be better ways to do this, I'm not sure. This is 100% improvised at the time. Hair and beards, I've taken inspiration from another creator, which I will link in the description, who I would very much recommend checking out, because they do some incredible green stuff sculpting, and honestly, I don't know how the guy does it. I won't say his name because I'll butcher it, but I will definitely link in the description, and definitely worth checking out, just for the pure amazement of watching what somebody can do with green stuff if you've got the patience and time and practice. For me, I'm still quite new to it, so I'm still learning things. Again, this flag is improvised. It was just an idea that I had and decided to go with it, and I was lucky enough that it has worked out. It may look like I'm struggling with it, but it has worked out. But yes, link in description for the next green stuff inspiring artist. So for this, as you can see, I've just made a little bit of a topper. Again, keep your fingers wet, or your tools wet, whatever you're using, just to help it stop from sticking against you or sticking to something else that you don't want it to. I found because this was very thin, it was just not playing ball, it won't stay anywhere. So you can see it's all over. So I decided to take a bit of a manoeuvre, matchstick, just try and prop it up. In the end, it took 2 matchsticks and 2 little makeshift supports to hold it in place. But it is in place, and once it is dried, it will stay there. So on terms of drying, it does say a few hours, 6 to 8 hours I think it is, but I would recommend just leaving it overnight, or literally a couple of days, just so it can cure over. With the remaining green stuff that I had mixed up together, I thought, why not just showcase a bit of the fur as well. So again, I just for me, I just make a bit of a loincloth kind of shape out of one, and then just using a tool, just push it into place where I want it. For this one, it's just a case of front and back, and then I will put a bit around the shoulders. But just using one of your tools, depending on what you've got at hand, push it into place. Try not to push it apart. Try not to push so that it's all flat, but more to push where it would be attached to you, if you like, so that you've got that bit of overhang and you've got that natural drape that you would have from wearing something like a fabric or a fur, or just a general item of clothing. But similar with the hair, it is just a case of get the desired shape, and then get your tool out and just in a bit of a stab and drag motion again, just to get that bit of a texture. And then once the texture's there, you can just play around with the shape a little bit more. Because it is pliable, because it doesn't set instantly, you have time to move it around if you're not happy with something. I've taken time before, looked at something and thought, yeah, I'm not happy with that now. Now I look at it a bit more in a different light, I'm not happy, and there was plenty of time to dismantle or take it off completely, or even just move it around. So for this, it's a case of across the tops, get my little tool out again, check the edges clear, a little dip in the water, and then again just go at it, little stabbing motions, just to bring out the texture of the fur. But again, I'm by no stretch of the imagination a professional. I've done a few bits and I'm happy with them, and you can, if I can do it, you can do it. Essentially, that is the base of the premise of most of these videos. If I can do it, you can do it. See, just a few stab and drag motions, just to bring that shape and the lifted texture that you would get from fur, especially if you were looking at it in the sense that it's going to be worn, it's going to be weathered, it's not going to be perfect, pristine fur that you might get in some top end fashion show. It's rugged, it is resourceful, it is there to serve a purpose, not to look fancy, it is there to keep them warm, essentially. And just while you watch me take what seemed like forever to do this, I'd just like to say thank you to quite a few people for watching the last few videos, for the few people that have subscribed and put likes and whatnot. Really appreciate it. I've not ever thought, intend of setting out a YouTube tutorial video type path as such, but if I can help one person pick a paintbrush up, or to be a little bit inspired by doing something, not looking at these professionals online and thinking, oh god, look how they do it, and they're there with all their equipment, they've got the fancy cameras, they've got the fancy editing software, everything looks top tier, and you just think, yeah, I'll never do it like that. I'd like to think I'm some sort of testament to say, yeah, you can. Because if I can do it, you can do it. You don't need fancy shit. It's just simple as, you don't need to go and buy the best equipment. You can buy a £2.50 set of brushes. You can get a piece of metal. You can use a vape pen to roll out some green stuff. You can use your phone to record yourself. You don't need a fancy camera. So there you have it. Green stuff. It's fairly simple to use. Practice. That's it. So remember, stop by, like, share, comment. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But there you have it. Green stuff. Quite cheap. Fairly cheap online. A few tools again. Amazon specials. Your craft knife you've probably got, and then, like me, a little bit of metal, just to improvise, because you don't need all the fancy shit. So there you have it. Thanks for stopping by. Laters.